Today I want to get into Jung Kook having his health not be so great and him possibly visiting the hospital. I also want to get into an alleged racist captain that talks about Jung Kook on a boat and why people are saying that was Jung Kook's lover. And then we have the police called over Jung Kook's impersonation. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave Desai. Hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Grab your dumpling, a teaspoon mug merch, and let's go. We need to talk about impersonations online. I think overall having a fan account where you repost things or keep people updated on a specific idol or celebrity is totally fine. These accounts actually tremendously help the idol, as not every single piece of news is going to be seen as newsworthy to a big media publishing site. However, if these smaller fan accounts can generate viral videos off of these smaller pieces of news, then the bigger sites will soon cover it and it will generate more publicity for the artist naturally. These smaller pieces of news I am referencing are things like Jung Kook sold out a sweater or Jung Kook spotted in New York, are usually headlines that would not work for other celebrities, as in no one seeing those headlines would click on it. So typically news sites won't cover that for other celebrities. However, when they see Jung Kook fan accounts doing that and getting a million retweets on Twitter or Threads, then they will start to cover it so the news sites can stay relevant. Most of those accounts that do this definitely make it obvious that they are not the specific idol, but just fans posting on the account. But when people take it too far and actually pretend to entirely be Jung Kook or any idol, it becomes a problem. The first issue is obviously, why are they doing this? What is the point of pretending to be said celebrity, and what are they trying to gain from this? You rarely ever go to this length to completely steal someone's identity just to sit there with it. So someone did end up pretending to be Jung Kook and somehow managed to find Jung Kook's producers and people that Jung Kook works with. The impersonator then proceeded to message the producers as Jung Kook to ask for things like music copy and very private unreleased things. Allegedly, this impersonator leaked copies of the music almost 50 times, and I will say that it is very commendable for ARMYs to not have made the leaked stuff go viral, because a lot of that stuff seemingly never affected Jung Kook's song 7. Now, while all of this is very bad, it was believed this wasn't even really the criminal part, and I guess that makes sense, because I could simply email a producer and pretend to be someone, and I guess it's the producer's job to make sure they're sending very confidential stuff and stuff that they have likely signed an NDA to the right person. But when the impersonator decided to make an Instagram account posting everything, posing as this producer, this then goes very much against the law. Not only will this end up defaming the producer, but ruining their reputation. It also then makes the producer appear like they're violating their NDA, and then if Jung Kook or the label didn't know any better, they would never want to work with this producer again. This of course makes this producer lose money, and this is why this then becomes a legal issue. This impersonator then got arrested, and it was believed that the reason the impersonator did all this was because they didn't have any friends and wanted to feel like a famous producer. As I've said before, harmless impersonations is fine, but when you impersonate and it actually ruins someone's livelihood, that is when you need to stop. So you have to actually consider all the possibilities of it. What you're about to do is going to hurt someone before you do it. There's a lot of issues with people not thinking of other people and being inconsiderate of other people. And it's even more of a problem and a concern for artists who need to perform while being sick. And the thing is, the critics and headlines are going to say a performance was bad and not count the fact that they were sick or whatever. So an artist has to almost overperform when they're sick to make up for things, to ensure that even when they're sick, they're meeting the bare minimum of their standards normally. Jung Kook did a great job at the Good Morning America performance, and he did great on the few songs he was able to do before the weather stopped him. If you go to the performances, you're completely unaware that Jung Kook had some health issues, and that means he worked really hard to hide that. After the Good Morning America performance, Jung Kook went on a live stream to talk to ARMY. He probably felt like he owed ARMY this live stream since the show was canceled, and many people had even camped out just to see Jung Kook for many days. So he definitely wanted to spend some time with ARMY for a little bit. Jung Kook very surprisingly said that his health had deteriorated recently and on his way to New York. He confirmed that it was not COVID and that he had already gotten tested, but he just felt like his throat was in a really bad condition, which is more surprising given how good he ended up sounding. Jungkook then continued to talk about his disappointment for the show getting canceled due to the rain and due to the amount of work that went into the rehearsal for the performance, because obviously he would never be able to do this routine again, and there's no specific reason as to why he would ever get the chance to do that routine again. I often wonder about things like this. For example, BTS talks about extensively how much they love the Black Swan and On era they had, and love all those choreographies and just artistically how good that era was. I agree. But the part that makes no sense to me is that if they wanted to just reboot that era, then do it, revamp it, do a re-release, and then perform it again. Taylor Swift is currently doing it with all her albums. Difference is she's not necessarily doing promotion and TV performances with those albums, but that doesn't mean you can't. And so there definitely could be another use or time that Jungkook can reuse this routine for Good Morning America. That was likely going to be very good, or just record it and post it on YouTube. The only thing that I think is a bit of a waste is that Jungkook had to work really hard while being sick, and then it was going to go to waste due to the weather. I mean, if he knew it was going to be that bad, he probably would have saved his voice and only prepped for a few songs. Because rehearsals go through the routine front and back a couple of times, and most of that was then cut out. But this is just how the industry works. Sometimes it's weather, sometimes it's other things. Jungkook and BTS are not newer artists, but are still considered newer in the US, which is why they often have to fight for respect. Something that people might not know is that award shows or live events where artists perform, the events don't just stop once the broadcast ends or when the broadcasts go to commercial. The broadcast cuts off because the TV station or media outlet only allows for a certain time slot for that program to air. Once that time slot is passed, they just cut the broadcast even if it's in the middle of the event. And then they have to cut to the next program in their broadcast. But on commercials and sometimes after the broadcast is done airing on TV, the show is still going on and celebrities are still performing. BTS has done performances that have literally been interrupted by commercial or just cut right out from the end because the broadcast went over their time limit. So it's always going to be one or the other, and BTS isn't asked to perform at the middle or the beginning of the event where the broadcast would be able to air it, because people running the event don't respect BTS enough to do that for BTS. And on top of that, they struggle with a lot of general respect from the general public. I believe it was Jungkook and Jimin who were both in New York for a little bit. Obviously, Jungkook was there for Good Morning America, and then Jimin was supposed to be in New York too, but people weren't sure why. So people assumed that he was working with Jungkook on Jungkook's new album. But I don't know if we know exactly what is happening with that yet. However, it was believed Jungkook and Jimin decided to take some time off and got on a yacht. This was definitely a more private schedule for them because there were no photos that were posted of the two there, and it was just something the two maybe wanted to do to pass time, or who knows, we might actually have some photos in the near future of them on a yacht. However, the members like to keep it humble and don't usually post things that are more extravagant. So there was some yacht drama. Apparently, the captain recorded a video of Jimin and Jungkook together, and then there was even an audio clip of the captain saying some racist things. And then I think it was Jimin and Jungkook's manager or bodyguard who asked the captain to stop recording and put the phone away, and then asked the captain to try not to speak so much English because it's rude. And so the captain responded by saying, "This is my boat, not the other way around, and I'll do whatever I want." First off, recording someone without their permission is not illegal in New York, but definitely not ethically good. But then second of all, I understand feeling upset because some manager or bodyguard told you what to do on your boat. And we've seen BTS managers and bodyguards get pretty aggressive sometimes. It can also make the boys look very entitled because the bodyguard is speaking for them and speaking rudely. However, this is your job. I'm speaking to the captain. The guests or customers on the boat are always correct. They're paying these crazy high yacht fees, like $1,000 an hour sometimes. If I'm paying that much and have some requirements, I'm expecting the crew to be accommodating. If you cannot handle rich people or wealthy people on a boat and act the way that they might, and I'm sure there's ruder people on a boat than BTS's bodyguard or manager would ever be. And just because it's your boat doesn't mean you can't accommodate people, and try not to make them feel uncomfortable. If you're looking at them and speaking English, they have every right to think that you're talking about them. They're also celebrities, so they're going to assume you're talking about them them, even if you're not. This ended up trending and people were very angry. The evasion of privacy in this situation, why did this leak? And also, if I am someone who takes yachts, I would not want to use this company's yacht. I am Asian, I would probably bring my family or Asian friends on the yacht with me. This would likely be a special occasion. I'm not going to want my family to feel unwelcome. Other people got mad because they feel like this leaked Jimin and Jung Kook on a boat date, but obviously if they're in New York together, they will probably meet up and hang out. Why not? So no, that's not dating. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out my Patreon for more videos, link down below. Thanks, just love that comment right here. Love you, bye.